Hello, welcome to the Dreamers Podcast. I'm your host, Annalise Wealth. And today I have Chris Corinthian as a guest on the show. He's worked for over 15 years in higher education in the areas of financial aid and financial literacy. And he has a mission to prevent college students from graduating with student loan debt. And so Chris has been helping tons and tons of high school students basically find better alternatives to student loan debt. And today he's sharing all of his tips and tricks and the tools that we can use to avoid student loan debt, but also if you're a parent, to help your kids avoid that as well so that they can graduate from college and start to build wealth. Here is Chris Corinthian. Chris Corinthian, welcome to the Dreamers Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful and humbled to be a part of this, and I'm thank you for allowing me to be on your platform.
Absolutely. Chris, tell the Dreamers a little bit about you and what you do.
Absolutely. I grew up in Georgia through high school, middle school, high school, elementary school. I was in the Atlanta area on the east side in a city called Lithonia, Georgia, now called Stonecrest, Georgia. And in my college years and after, I spend the rest of my life currently living in Savannah, Georgia. And I went through a process going through school and graduating from high school, getting scholarships. And after going to school on scholarships, I ended up at the school at Savannah State University, my alma mater. And then what happened was I ended up, you're supposed to work hard and play hard. I ended up playing a little too hard because I tried to carry over habits of procrastinating in high school where I could wait till the last minute to do a test or study or write a paper and get an A on it. I found out the hard way that I couldn't sustain that habit, and I had a 1.45 GPA my first semester. I lost all my scholarships after the first year, and I got this thing called student loans, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And every semester after that, I had to get nothing but A's and B's in order to be eligible for scholarships. Got the scholarships back, ended up graduating with honors. But in that process, I ended up taking on the student loan debt. And so one of the missions is because I had a personal story of that, plus other financial situations growing up that I want students to be able to avoid. So I tell them the importance of what steps they need to do to avoid student debt altogether. And so that's just a little bit about my journey coming up and my purpose.
That is so important. How much student loan debt did you have when you graduated?
Well, it was about $48,000 in student loan debt. Yeah, because there was with the bachelor's and the master's combined, that's how much it was.
Today, you focus on helping college students avoid starting life at a deficit with student loan debt, right?
Yes.
So tell me about your journey when it comes to paying off student loan debt.
Okay, that's a great question. So a little bit about my journey and my process that I teach students is one of the things I like to do is I tell students that they can graduate debt-free, even if they've already taken out a student loan. And so there's a 3-step framework that I go through. And one of the main things that I started when I was going through my journey was figuring out how I can budget, how I can put aside money every single month and put it towards it. Even if it was $25 or $50, how much could I put towards it? Because there are a lot of students, and even I was in that same position, when they graduate, they have deferment periods where you don't have to pay on your student loans. They'll defer it for a certain period of time. And what most people do, just in working with students and other graduates, what a lot of people do is they just stop putting money towards their student loans. They say, okay, well, if I'm a deferment, I don't need to put anything away. But what I found is that the most beneficial thing you can do for yourself is to still continue that habit of budgeting and putting money away to knock down that student loan. And then there's programs such as a student loan forgiveness program, like public service loan forgiveness programs, where if you're in certain fields of public service, then if you work for some certain number of years and make on-time payments, then you can pay it off. The remaining loans that were not paid off, I was eligible for the public service loan forgiveness program.
For students who might be listening or parents who are listening, talk to me more about deferment and how that impacts your finances long term.
When students take out loans, even aside from the private loans, let's just look at the federal loans. The Department of Education, they offer student loans. And then depending on your classification, and if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you're eligible for a certain amount of loans. And what the Department of Education offers, they offer students 2 types of loans. They offer them subsidized loans and they offer them unsubsidized loans. And so the difference between the two is that the subsidized loan means that the interest is subsidized or paid for by the Department of Education while you're in school. The unsubsidized loan is accruing interest while you're in school. Now, when you graduate, then that interest on that subsidized loan is going to start going up with that unsub loan too. And then what happens is you have to start paying on it, because what'll happen is you'll take out a loan for a certain amount of money, and then you'll look back by the time you're finished paying it back, you spent way more money than the amount of money that you took out in loan. The deferment happens. Guess what? That interest is still growing while it's in deferment. They don't say, okay, you're in deferment, so we're going to pause on the growth of that interest. No, you still have to pay on the interest of that loan. That's why it's important to still be putting money towards that loan, even if you're in an instance where you're in deferment.
When it comes to you working with college students, what's some of the most common mistakes that you see them make when it comes to paying for college?
That's a great question. My framework that I usually tell students to do to graduate debt-free is 3 steps. I call it the debt-free degree triangle. There's a foundation of scholarships, which we'll talk about in a second. And then there's money management or budgeting. And then the top part is automated income streams. Okay. You have scholarships. That's the very first thing I want students to focus on. So grants and scholarships. I was just looking at an article the other day. This is actually a year-old article, but it's $100 million of unused scholarship money. $100 million. Forbes did the article. And there's over $100 million of scholarships that go unclaimed. It's just like, wow, we're not just talking unclaimed. So we're not just talking about scholarship dollars that are available that students are using. We're talking about scholarship dollars that are not even claimed. Wow. And so that's usually where I start with students. I say, hey, listen, the norm is that if you're going to college, you have to take out student loans. And so my personal mission is to change that narrative altogether and let people know that, listen, you do not have to take out student loans. And then there are enough students out there that are showing people, look, I didn't have to take out one student loan. And you don't have to have the greatest GPA, or you don't have to have the greatest obstacles or challenges type story in order to get it. There's scholarships literally for everybody. The framework that I take the students through is the scholarships as the foundation, which is really dependent because you're depending on organizations or business owners to give you the money. The next phase is the stage of independence. How do you manage your money? What ways are you being a good steward of your money and putting your money to use? And then the last phase is what I call the interdependent phase, where they create automated passive income streams for themselves so that whatever they don't get in scholarships, they can make up the difference in those passive income streams. They're like, well, I didn't get any more scholarships, so I guess I have no other choice but to take out loans. But no, there are different ways that you can set it up that you can be able to take care of that difference.
What are some of the passive income streams that are friendly to college students?
Great questions. The one I usually like to start with is the lowest hanging fruit. Many people don't know that there are ways where you can actually get paid passively or automatically from something that you didn't have to create, that you don't have to worry about shipping or packaging or anything or fulfillment, and you can still get paid. And this is one way of making passive income. It's called affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing means that, for example, have you ever recommended a restaurant to your friend?
Yes.
Yes. Now, after you recommended that restaurant to your friend, did the restaurant come back and say, hey, guess what? We are so thankful that you recommended your friend to us. Here goes $100.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, right? Or you recommended a movie. Said, oh, you got to catch that movie. Did the movie theater say, hey, thank you for telling your friend about the movie. Here goes $50. No, that doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't happen for the people that don't know, but there's this thing called affiliate marketing, which is the same concept. It means that when you sign up for an affiliate program, right, most companies that you didn't even know about or that you didn't even think have affiliate programs. They assign you your unique ID. And then if there's a certain audience that loves to purchase things from that business or types of business like that, then guess what? Every time you send them a customer, they'll send you a referral commission just for sending them. And then there are popular programs such as Amazon Associates. That's the name of their affiliate program. Home Depot has an affiliate program. The list goes on and on and on. For example, let's say that you have a YouTube channel. A lot of college students, they have their own social media and they have a YouTube channel. Most students don't know that if you build enough traffic on your YouTube channel, if you build it up to at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours, Google AdSense, who owns YouTube, will end up paying you every single month just because you're building traffic and you have that viewership. Now, let's say that your channel was focused on green grass or botany or something like that. Guess what? Now, if you're an affiliate of Home Depot or Lowe's, for example, I'm not going to be biased, Lowe's, Home Depot, any of those hardware stores. For example, let's say that they offer a product like fertilizer, and then you're interviewing the top experts on lawn care, and green grass. Guess what? Now you can put the link in the description and just say, hey, the fertilizer that this expert just mentioned, the link is in the description. Somebody clicks the link in the description, and every time somebody goes through that link to purchase that fertilizer, you're going to get a commission. When these students are doing these things with video and social media, it's like I show them ways that they can monetize it so that they're not doing the work in vain, so to speak. And those are just a couple examples.
Love it. In terms of finding the money or getting the scholarships, how can students prepare so that they have a better shot at getting those scholarships?
One of the biggest hurdles or challenges that the students tell me that they face, that they don't want to write those essays. They said most of these scholarships have essays, and number one, they don't know where to find the scholarships. And when they do find the scholarship, they don't know what to write about. What I'll go over are the 5 essential essays that you need to increase your chances for getting scholarship. Because once you have these 5 scholarships, guess what? You can reuse them, repurpose them, and then tweak them because they fit all the different categories 99% of the time of what people will ask. Okay. Once you have these essays, then I'll tell you what to do next. The very first essay I like to tell people to have ready is talk about the rags to riches story. And I call it rags to riches because it's just catchy and people remember it. But you can name it whatever you want. But it's still on the same premise that what kind of challenges did you have, or what type of obstacles did you have to overcome, and how did you overcome them? And where do you plan on going? So what type of challenges did you overcome? How did you get to where you are, and where do you plan on going? And the thing is with that is that organizations and donors want to see that if you're hit with hard times while you're enrolled in school, you're not going to give up. You're not going to drop out. They know that you have the grit and you have the determination to push through your challenges in order to make it to the other side. And it makes them look good because it was like, man, this person went through all of this. How about I help them along their journey? And then a lot of times people think that it's only their external challenges and obstacles they went through, but sometimes it can be internal. One of my students, she didn't have one of those type of stories when you looked at all the external things. Nice home environment, everything was great. But one thing that she had challenges with is that she got down on herself when she didn't get that A. She would have a lot of stress and anxiety, and she put so much pressure on herself. One of the things that she did to overcome those challenges was that she learned about mental health strategies. And she also got into yoga, and then that was her outlet. And so I'll talk about that a little later because there are other scholarships that you can apply for that don't even require essays. That's your rags to riches. Your number 2 is your impact/leadership essay. What type of impact do you plan on making individually in your community? What type of impact do you plan on making? What type of mark do you plan on making in this world? / what type of leadership have you had to contribute to that impact? Explain different ways where you've been a leader or you've shown leadership. Now, the number 3 is what will you do with the money essay? Now, I know that's long, but what will you do with the money? People who are going to give you the money, they want to know, if we give you this money, what do you plan on doing? For prime example, let's say you're a biology student. There are other expenses that other majors might not have, such as you have to buy lab coats, or you have to buy equipment for the science lab. You have to buy all these external things that end up piling up to add on to your tuition fees. But if you explain in the essay, it's just like, if I was granted this money, then I won't have to borrow my friend's lab coat. I won't have to borrow lab equipment. I won't have to get used books that have been tore up or beaten down. I can actually get new stuff that I can use that'll help me be able to have my own things and continue. And then the 4th one is, what do you want to do with your career or in your major? And you can kind of say, what kind of impact will you have in your career or your major? And then once you have that, then how are you going to change the things? And the last one is what I call the wildcard essay. Your wildcard essay is usually catered toward a current event. What type of current event is everybody talking about? A lot of people are talking about this recession. How is the recession affecting you, your industry, your field of study? How is it affecting it? Are the cost of goods going up if you're in a certain field? Or, for example, a couple of years ago, there was a war going on. How is that war affecting what you have? Let's say you're in the food services industry, because we get a lot of agriculture and a lot of foods that are shipped from one country over here. Now the price of your food for your restaurant is going up, or the lag time, for example. Or a couple of years ago, everybody was talking about COVID and quarantine, and how was that change in your industry based on that? When you have those 5 essays available, you upload them to Google Drive or iCloud. And now when you get the essays, and I'll tell you where to find the scholarships in a second, but when you have them, now guess what? Most of the bulk work is already done. Now all you do is either use one or a combination of those essays to craft your essay. You can just copy and paste, tweak it, because now all the hard work is already done. And now if you have those essays readily available, I asked the students, if you have the essays available and the scholarship applications, the scholarships are finding you instead of you having to go search for the scholarships. And guess what? Do you think you could do 2 scholarships a day? Everybody's hands go up. And so I say, okay, well, look, if it's December 1st, right? I said, if you do 2 scholarships a day by February 1st, that's 120 scholarships you've now applied for. And then the light bulb goes off and they're like, wow. Because most students get burned out after 10 or 20 scholarships and they think that their money's just going to come rolling in. But everyone that I've worked with, if they've applied for over 100 scholarships, everybody I've worked with has gotten scholarships after applying for 100 qualified scholarships. And I've been doing this for over 15 years. And everybody that's done at least 100 scholarships, and they don't stop there usually, but the magic number is everything over 100. The last part of scholarships I want to say is where to find them. So there are different resources. You have Scholly, you have Scholarship Owl, and Scholly was founded by Christopher Gray. I'm not sure if you heard of him, but Christopher Gray was featured on Shark Tank. Yes. A lot of people don't know is that his senior year in high school, he was homeless, part of his senior year in high school. He knew that his only ticket out of that situation was to go to school. But he ended up getting $1.3 million in scholarships to go to school. And then when he got to school, he met with some partners and created Scholly, a software as a service company. And now it was somebody that knew how to find scholarships, how to get scholarships, and created for people who are searching for scholarships. That has gone through both ends of the spectrum, that understands it. And that's why I always push Scholly, Scholarship Owl, and there are a couple other sources. But once all the scholarships are coming to you, guess what? Now you don't have to go out searching for them. You have all the detailed information, scholarships finding you, you have your essays, and you have your methodology of how you're going to apply for them. Once you do that, guess what? Now you just continue the habit and then wait. You do it, you're not going to get instant gratification. You have to do the work, wait, and then the money's going to start coming in. And that's how you get scholarships.
Are those applications, are they free or do you have to pay for them?
Scholarship Owl has a free version where it'll list out all the scholarships for you. If you do the paid version, they'll do like a one-click apply, but the students can still on the free version see all of the scholarships available to them. And what they'll do is sometimes they'll just copy the link, put them in an Excel spreadsheet, and then paste the names of those scholarships in Google, take you right to the site, and then it'll show them. And here's another tip. I tell students, go look on the website of the donors or the organization. Look at their about section. Look what they're about, because they have certain beliefs and values that they hold as an organization. And guess what? If your essay is in line or tying in with their values and beliefs, guess what? Now it increases your chances for them to at least hear you out. Because let's say that somebody had the values of animal protection, and then your essay is not talking about that. Then the beliefs and values are misaligned. But then if it's the other way around, then guess what? They're going to want to pay attention to what you're saying because you hold the same values.
I love that. Can you tell me about some of the scholarships that students should think about?
Yeah, absolutely. This one is a real easy one because one of the hurdles and burdens that a lot of students take on is like they don't want to write essays. I'll give you 3 scholarships that you can apply for that you don't even need an essay if you qualify for on one of these. But this one is for everybody. This one you can apply for. I think it's early as 16 years old. You can apply for this one. Last year, they offered over 75 people $10,000. And then they offered like between 5 and 10 people $25,000. And then there was a number of other people that got $5,000. And this is a Taco Bell Live Más scholarship. The Taco Bell Foundation offers over $100 million in scholarships that they've offered. And all you have to do is a 2-minute video, and you're talking about your passion and what it is that you want to do in life. What's your passions and what do you want to do in your field of study? And guess what? There's no minimum GPA requirement for it. No minimum GPA. You just talk about your passions and what you want to do in the world and what type of impact, as well as what you plan on doing in your field of study. You talk about that. And guess what? One of my students, Taylor, did that. She did a video, it was 2 minutes, and she ended up getting $10,000 from that scholarship. Yeah. And then there's other ones that you can do a video for too. This one is with McDonald's and the Black and Positively Golden Scholarship. If you meet the requirements to apply for that, they're offering over 60 people $15,000 for that scholarship. I think you have to have a 2.7 GPA for that one, but that's a 2-minute video as well. And you're just talking about what it means to be Black and positively golden in your community. And there's a number of other video scholarship submissions that you can do that you don't even have to write an essay for.
How can we find these video scholarships?
The easiest way you can do it is you just go to Google and just type in video essay scholarship. And it's going to pull up the different number of scholarship video essays that you can do. Or if you want to get the Taco Bell one, if you want to apply for that, just go to Taco Bell Foundation Scholarship or Taco Bell Live Más Scholarship, and it'll pull up the application. And I believe the deadline is the second week of January. Depending on when you're listening to this, every single year from November to January is a time where you can apply for this. You can submit your 2-minute video. And it's not even 2 minutes. You can do from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Let's say everything you need to say in 30 seconds. It could be as short as 30 seconds. Do that scholarship. And then guess what? That'll keep the momentum for you wanting to keep on applying.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing those. I didn't even know that you could submit scholarship applications via video.
Absolutely.
You have a book out, right? It's called Financial Literacy 101 for college students.
Yes.
What can readers expect from the book, whether it's parents or college students?
That's a great question. It's funny you said parents, because a lot of parents that end up getting the book, because the second section and the third section, what I talk about, they say, I got this for my child, but I need to learn this stuff. Because the first section talks about all the different ways, because most people just think it's only scholarships. But especially if you're a non-traditional student, there are like tuition assistance programs with your employer. There are other type of grants where if you had a parent that died in the war in Afghanistan, there are federal grants for that as well. There's also other different types of ways that you can get money outside of scholarship that's in the book. It talks about the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, how that works, how to get state scholarships. The second section is talking about budgeting the money. Find the money, budget the money, and grow the money. The middle section talks about different apps and strategies when it comes to budgeting your money, as well as talks about credit. What credit is, how credit is factored in, all the data points and everything like that, and how you can establish credit as a college student. And it talks about the different methodologies, talk about how much percentage of a score is impacted by on-time payments, or how much of your scores is impacted by utilization. And it goes over all those things that people need to know. And then the last section, it talks about growing the money. It talks about Roth IRA and the importance of that, and the S&P 500 and different index funds, just like things that have been shown and proven over time to get results. That's backed up by data and research. And then the last chapter talks about, this is where the fun part comes in for the students, 15 passive income streams for college students. If the student has one that resonates with them the most, they can actually do it. And most of them could just start working at it, and then over time, it'll grow organically. There's no upfront cost to most of those that are in there. It's just actually putting the stuff to work and making it grow. And so those are the things that are in the book that a lot of students end up benefit from. Because if I can go back to my college self, this is the book I would give myself head start.
I love that. You shared so many tips and resources. I would love to hear, though, for any dreamer that's watching or listening to the show, what are maybe 3 to 5 actionable things that they can do today if they want to graduate debt-free? Or if it's parents listening and they want to help their kids graduate debt-free, what can be done today?
Great question. Number one, because I work with a lot of high school students. So if you're high school, there are things that you're doing that you probably didn't even know are scholarship worthy. There's a website called raiseme.com or raise.me. You can type that in. If you're getting a certain grade in a certain type of class, or if you're in a leadership organization in high school, or if you're in one of the athletic teams, guess what? Because of those things, there are colleges and other universities that will commit scholarship dollars just for you meeting those different milestones. That's one that's just easy to do. And there's one student they featured on CNN that she got over $80,000 in scholarship dollars just from that one website. So that's one. As a matter of fact, what I'll do for your listeners, I don't always do this, but what I'll do is I'll give them a link. Matter of fact, if they go to tiny.cc/scholarships chapter, then they'll get chapter 5, which is everything I'm talking about scholarship, because I know we're way kind of fast. They'll have that chapter for free. And there's no email request or anything. You just type that in and it'll just pull the chapter up. So all your listeners can get access to that. That way they could take their time going through the things that I've been talking about. I know it can be overwhelming as a first-time parent sending your child off to school or grandparent. It can be very overwhelming. I want you to have that chapter where you can take your time going through exactly step by step, and everything I didn't cover, you'll find in that chapter. Okay, that's my gift to your followers and listeners.
I love it. Chris, I always end the interview with a round of rapid fire questions. Tell me about a book that changed your perspective on life.
Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because I was always taught growing up that, well, I heard a lot. I shouldn't say I was taught. I heard a lot. Money don't grow on trees. I'm not made out of money. And the way to success is going to school, getting a good job, and just put something away for retirement. And that was my whole financial literacy education. When I read that book, it gave me a different perspective on how the wealthy look at money. And that changed my whole trajectory on understanding what money is as a tool or medium for exchange of value and how you can put it to good use.
What's one life lesson you learned the hard way?
Because of the paralysis of analysis, I missed out on so many opportunities. And the hardest part about it is that the people that are willing to take advantage of those opportunities weren't necessarily smarter than me, better than me, more talented than me, but they had something that I didn't have, which was taking action right away on the things that they know they had to get done. And that was a lesson that I learned the hard way a lot of times coming up.
What's one thing about money you wish you could tell your younger self?
Don't rush it. Don't rush things. Learn as much as you can about the subject of money. Take your time and be smart with it.
What's the best investment in yourself you've made so far?
My education. I try to grow every single day and learn from people like you and as many as people. I can learn from everyone. Okay. Everyone that I come in contact with, I know I can learn something from. I just come in a way where I'm open-minded and just able to receive whatever type of wisdom they can impart upon me.
Fill in the blank in 3 words or less. Money to me is
a tool.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be that I was a person who served, never gave up on my dreams, and represented God in everything I did.
Love it. Chris, please tell the dreamers where they can find you if they want to learn more about you.
If you want to find more about me, you can follow me on Instagram at The Finlit Guy. That's TheFinlit Guy, The Finlit Guy on Instagram. That's probably the best way to reach out to me. And I'd love to hear from you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you so much.